Welcome back. Our global debt rose to a record $233 trillion in the third quarter of 2017, more than $16 trillion higher from end 2016. And that's according to an analysis by the Institute of International Finance. The report says private non-financial sector debt hit all-time highs in Canada, France, Hong Kong, South Korea, Switzerland, and Turkey. At the same time, though, the ratio of debt to gross domestic product fell for the fourth consecutive quarter as economic growth accelerated. The ratio is now around 318%, 3 percentage points below a high set in the third quarter of 2016. We'll look at all the markets, and in the U.S. stock index futures pointed to a positive open on Friday ahead of the all-important U.S. employment data. As the first week of 2018 draws to a close, U.S. investors will be waiting for the December employment situation report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics due out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. That's about now. Aside from the all-important jobs data, investors will also be on the lookout for international trade data due out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. In addition to the non-manufacturing ISM report on business report and factory orders, both set to be released at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. In earnings news, Constellation Brands and Calmin Foods are set to report before the bell. The economy will also likely to be of key importance during two Federal Reserve speeches set to take place. The speeches come just days after the U.S. Central Bank released the minutes from its December meeting, whereby the Fed raised interest rates but remained concerned over the state of inflation. And in Asia, markets closed higher on Friday, tracking stateside gains after the Dow Jones Industrial Average hit a major milestone. Markets in the region traded at or around multi-year highs, with Japan's benchmark index touching a 26-year high and the Hang Seng index earlier hitting a fresh decade high. Japan's benchmark index 225 attacked on 0.89%. The index rose to its highest levels in 26 years as the dollar firmed against the yen. Across the Korean Strait, the Kospi rose 1.26%, with automakers gaining after closing lower in the last session. In Australia, the ASX 200 rose 0.74% at 6,122 points as the telecommunications, financials and materials sectors rose. The New Year rally seen in China markets largely continued on the last trading day of the week. On the mainland, the Shanghai Composite edged up 0.2% and the Shenzhen Composite closed 0.04% higher at 1,941 points. And to the commodities market now, oil prices held firm on Friday, with Brent crude up by more than 10% from its December lows on the back of political tensions in OPEC member Iran and a tightening U.S. market. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures were at $61.95 a barrel, 5 cents below their last close, but not far off the $62.21 May 2015 high reached the previous day. Brent crude futures were at $68.03 a barrel, 4 cents below their last settlement, but not far off the $68.27 high from the day before, also the highest since May 2015. Beyond a brief intraday spike in May 2015, these were the highest price levels seen since December 2014 during the oil price downturn. Traders say political tensions and oil-producing Iran were supporting prices. And to metals markets now, gold prices held steady on Friday after hitting 3.5-month highs in the previous session, weighed down by the greenback's weaknesses against the euro. The dollar index was poised for a loss this week. Gold prices held steady after hitting 3.5 high months in the previous session, remaining on track for their fourth straight weekly gain. Spot gold was mostly unchanged at $1,322 an ounce. It marks its highest since September 15 at $1,325 on Thursday on a weaker dollar. Spot gold was on track for its fourth straight weekly climb, rising 1.5% so far this week. And Stenop's finance chief has stepped down from the role to focus on helping the South African retailer plug a €2.4 billion hole in its finances after an accounting scandal. The owner of more than 40 multinational retail brands, including Conforama, Mattress Firm, and Poundland, revealed the accounting irregularities last month along with the immediate departure of its chief executive. Its chairman briefly took the reins, then also stepped down. Chief Financial Officer Ben Lagrange, whom the company has cleared of any wrongdoing, will leave his position, and Philip Deprick, the finance chief of Stenop's UK business, will become acting CFO. And Kenya online sports betting firm has cancelled 600 million shillings in direct annual sponsorship for the country's main football league and other sports after the government hiked taxes for such firms by more than 4 times. The cancellation of the deals is affecting rugby, football and boxing.
The government increased the tax rate on gross profits for sports betting firms, lotteries and casinos to 35% last year from 7.5% to create a fund for sports, culture and the arts. It says the rapid growth of betting in a loosely regulated environment has hurt the young and vulnerable. Ronald Karauri, the chief executive of SportsPesa, one of the biggest firms, said they were left with no choice but to cut costs in order to survive.
What we did, because now, and this is something we had talked about even last year before the law came into effect, because if you look at the kind of sponsorships we have, we had really committed ourselves in sports in the country. So it's a very huge burden for us as a cost, because even though it's approximately 600 million in direct sponsorship, if you include the training camps and all these capacity building programs we had brought in, it goes to well over £1 billion shillings. And like for this year, we had planned for Everton to come into Kenya to play, which is also a cost. So if we have the tax in place, we have to consider reducing our costs drastically.
SportsPesa has been sponsoring the Kenyan Football Federation, the country's Premier League, various clubs including last year's league champions Gor Mahia, the National Rugby Union and boxing. Kenya Rugby Union said they would be losing 120 million shillings a year used to prepare squads for the International Rugby 7 series. Gor Mahia chairman said the club might be forced to pull out of this year's Confederation Champions League Cup, a regional competition, due to lack of funds. The team was getting 60 million shillings a year from SportsPesa. Sport betting is at an all-time high in Kenya, ranked 3rd gambling market in Africa after South Africa and Nigeria. Betting has also been made easier through mobile phones and mobile money. Motorcycle taxi operator James Okari says he once made $1,000 through SportsPesa betting platform.
I do not see why SportsPesa is reacting about paying high taxes by withdrawing from supporting sports. They need to consult with the government. If the tax is too high, then they should negotiate. Many Kenyans, including myself, benefit from betting. There are those who lose a lot, but the majority benefit.
The new tax passed by Parliament also affects lottery firms and prize competitions.
And that's a wrap on the program. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Chimeze Obi Iwago.